Welcome to Game Fondue Reviews. In this video, we're going to take a look at Arcadia Quest. In Arcadia Quest, players are leading a band of heroes to defeat the Vampire Lord. Let's jump right in with the description of the rules, see a few example turns being played, then I'll be back for some closing remarks. This is Arcadia Quest set up for a 3-player game. No matter what scenarios the players are going to play, the first thing they have to do is select their heroes. Players select a color, take the board in that color along with all the matching guild tokens, and they form a supply. You can either select your 3 heroes or draft them. To draft them, you deal out all the hero cards to all players, and they look at them, pick one, and pass the rest left. Once all players have a group of 3 heroes, they're ready to begin. A player's chosen group of 3 heroes is laid out face up on his player board so everybody can see them, and each player receives the 5 starting equipment that they can distribute among their heroes as they please. They're easy to identify because they have starter on the back of the cards. The only restriction in initial distribution of the items is each character can only hold 4 items, which is in the spaces below him. After all players have chosen their group of heroes, the players have to choose the scenario that they're going to start with. Arcadia is a campaign game played over 6 scenarios out of a possible 11 that always starts with 3 in the outer circle, 2 in the inner circle, and then 1 final showdown. So players choose an outer circle scenario to start, and they do that by picking the campaign book. This is the District of Hammers, which is the recommended start for players that have never played before. But in all cases, the campaign book lists all the information you need, including the setup, where different things are, and the quests that you're going to use during that particular scenario. The tiles are always arranged exactly as described in the scenario, as are the doors, which either start open or closed, and they flip back and forth so you can do it real easily. The portals come in 2 colors, so make sure you put the right color facing up as indicated in the campaign book, because you are going to be able to move between portals of the same color. And then if the scenario has them, you play the quest markers face up, and it's important to take out the quest markers you don't use because they look like regular exploration tokens. So as you can see here, I have the other 2 on the side because they're not used in this particular scenario. And then you shuffle the exploration tokens and lay them out face down as indicated in the campaign book. The spawn tokens are also shuffled face down, but then they are placed on the board face up in the indicated spaces. All monsters are put in the spaces indicated, and their corresponding monster card matching their level is put on the side of the board. You can see right now we're at level 1 because we're at the first scenario of the game. But there's 6 scenarios over the course of the campaign, and there's all the levels corresponding 1 to 6 with that scenario number. Lastly, you lay out the quest cards that match the scenario, and as you can see here, there's a lot more quest cards, but depending on the scenario, you're only going to use select ones. Then you place the spawn tile near the board and randomly assign the different starting locations as indicated in the campaign book to the different players. The players put their 3 heroes in those spaces, but they can only put a maximum of 2 on one particular space, but they can sort them however they like. During the game, players take turns in clockwise order, either activating a hero or resting your guild. You can't do both. The round continues until one player wins the scenario by completing the required number of quests. In a 3 or 4 player game, it's 3 quests, but at least one of them has to be PvE. These kill the other players are PvP. And in a 2-player game, it's just 2 quests, but you still have to do at least 1 PvE, although that's required because you can never complete the quest for killing yourself. So if you choose to activate a hero during your turn, he can first move, then attack. Has to be in that order. Heroes have 3 movement points that they can be used to move 1 space, use a portal, or open or close a door. If you choose to move, you can move to any close space. A space is considered close if it's not diagonal from you and there's no closed door or wall blocking your path. So for instance, if this guy was here, this would all be close to him, as well as the space he's on. However, if he was up here, this and this space would not be close to him because these doors are closed. Also, this space would not be close to him because it's diagonal. But this, and this space would be close to him. Spaces can contain a maximum of 2 characters, and that includes monsters. You can move through full spaces, but not block spaces. A space is considered full if it has 2 characters on it, and one of them is yours. So right here, this space would be full. So if you had another guy of your color, you could move through that space, but you couldn't finish on it because then it would be overfilled. A space is considered blocked, however, if it has 2 opposing characters. So if you were the orange player, and this space had 2 guys on it, that's considered blocked. You cannot move through that, nor do you have line of sight through it. So moving to a closed space is one way to use a movement point. Another way is to move between portals. And if you're on a space with a portal, you just use 1 movement point to move to another of the same color. The last way to use a movement point is to flip a door, either open or close. If it's just on the edge of the space you're on, you can close it or open it for 1 movement point. Players aren't required to use the full amount of movement points, nor are they required to move at all, but they are required to complete their move before attacking. You can't move after you attack. Also, whenever a player is standing on a space with no enemies that has an exploration token on it, he reveals that token and then takes it to his player board. So after moving, a player may attack, and a player can attack in 2 different ways, either melee or ranged attack. Either way, the first thing a player has to do is exhaust one of the cards in his inventory. You only can attack with the cards underneath that particular character, and you exhaust them by placing one of your markers on them. So if Grom was to use this particular attack, it would now be exhausted. Once a particular item is exhausted, it cannot be used again until it's unexhausted, and we'll get to that in a bit. Melee attacks target enemies on closed spaces, so if you're attacking with this guy here, you could target here, here, or here with a melee attack, and it's indicated on your card what type of attack it is. Ranged attacks, however, can target anybody that you have continuous line of sight to. To check line of sight, you draw a line from the center of your tile to the center of their tile. If there's no obstructions, you do have line of sight. So if this orange player wanted to attack this green player with that ranged attack, unfortunately he doesn't have line of sight because you can see this goes through this particular area which is blocked to him because there's a wall. If he was here, however, he does have line of sight. Even though this does touch this wall, that's okay. But it's not okay if you touch two areas where you don't have line of sight. For instance, if this was blocked and this was blocked, you could not shoot through there to hurt this guy. But since this is not blocked, it's okay. So then the attacker rolls as many attack dice as indicated on his card. We can see here that this is a ranged attack that rolls 2 dice because there's a 2 there. So he would take those dice and he would roll them, and he would roll a different number of dice if there are any modifiers or abilities that allow him to do so. So those dice are rolled. Any critical hits among them, which is this symbol here, are re-rolled and they count as a hit. So in that example, he had 3 hits because he has 1, 2 plus the critical. We know that bows hit because there's a bow symbol on this particular card. Ranged attacks hit with bows and melee attacks hit with swords. Then the defender rolls white dice equal to the value shown on their card. So in this example, green sleeves will roll 2 white dice. So he'll roll them on the board, and each of these is a save. Critical hits work the same way here. You get the counts as a save, and then you get to re-roll it. But this would have been 3 hits against 1 save. So he would have taken 2 damage, which we would indicate like this. If you were attacking a monster and you damaged him, you would just lay the damage on the board next to him here. His card does show you how much health he has, but you don't put any damage on the card because there's a whole lot of that same type of monster out there. Any hero or monster taking damage equal to or greater than their health dies. Any exploration tokens or quest tokens they were holding go immediately on the space where they died. However, if you killed a hero who dropped a quest token or an exploration token, you immediately get to take one of them. If you dropped a whole bunch, you just get one, even if you're really far away. Also, if you kill a hero, you get 1 coin from the bank. If a hero is killed by a monster, however, all guilds except that hero's guild get 1 coin from the bank. In all cases, the hero goes back to his card and takes 1 death token, and that goes on his card as well. So instead of activating a hero, you could instead choose to rest for your turn. If you rest for your turn, you unexhaust all of your cards, so you immediately take all your guild tokens off of them. You can freely reorganize your items between heroes, including any exploration tokens, but you cannot move quest tokens or death tokens. They have to stay where they are. Also, any of your dead heroes are resurrected at full health. They can be put in your guild starting area or a space close to one of your heroes that was alive during this turn. The next thing we have to talk about is monsters, and monsters only react in this game. When a hero that's already close to a monster moves, he triggers a guard reaction in that monster. During a guard reaction, a monster does not move, but it attacks based on its card. So you can see here, if the Orc Marauder attacks, he's going to roll 3 dice. The guard reaction happens before the hero actually moves, and the same monster can attack multiple times if there's multiple moves. It's important to note, though, that using portals or opening doors does not trigger this effect. It's only moving 1 space. So for instance, if this player moved here, there would be no guard reaction because he was not yet close to this monster. But if he moved again, even if he's going somewhere that's not close to that monster, that triggers a guard reaction and he gets attacked. A guard reaction is also triggered if a hero attacks but he doesn't attack any monsters close to him. In that case, all the monsters close to him will have a guard reaction. So for instance, if this guy was here and this guy chose to attack him, there is a monster close to him. So after this attack resolves, this guy will have a guard reaction where he attacks this character. This would even happen if he used a range attack to attack a monster very far away. So for instance, if this guy used a range attack to hit this guy because he does have line of sight, this would trigger a guard reaction from this guy because he didn't attack any close monsters. If this guy was here though, and he chose to attack him, there would be no guard reaction from either of them because he did attack a close monster, even though it wasn't this guy. The other type of reaction a monster can have is a payback reaction. That happens after you attack a monster and don't deal overkill damage. If you attack a monster and deal overkill damage, which is this number here, you can see it's 3. So if you ever do 3 damage to the Orc Marauder at one time, he's going to die immediately and he's not going to do any payback reaction. It's not 3 damage total, meaning if you already had 1 damage, 2 more, it's 3 damage in 1 attack. The difference between a payback reaction and a guard reaction is the monster gets to move first, using the movement points listed on his card. The monster's total activation is controlled by your right neighbor, and you can see here that this guy has 1 movement point that he could use, and he could use it to take portals or open and close doors as normal. After moving, the monster may attack, but he certainly doesn't need to, and he still needs to be within range to attack if he chose to move. One important thing to note here is if a hero attacks 2 monsters with 1 attack, only one of them will activate. There's 2 different types of monsters. There's minions and there's villains. You can see here this guy is labeled as a minion, but this guy is labeled as a villain. The difference there is when you kill a minion, they're immediately taken and put on the spawn track, and only the killer gets the full amount of gold listed on their card for defeating them. Whenever you damage a villain, however, you put one of your guild tokens on the monster card, and when that monster is killed, all players who have a token there get the full amount of gold listed on the card. Also, villains are not placed on the spawn tile, they are just removed from the game when defeated. At the end of a player's turn, if the spawn tile is filled with 5 guys, a monster spawning phase occurs. Starting with the first slot and going downward, the active player rolls 2 attack dice and places them on the board accordingly. You can see here this spawn has 2 swords, and that's what we rolled, 2 swords. So normally he would be placed here. However, this space is full, so he would immediately be removed from the game. He would be dead. The monster will also be immediately removed from the game if there's no matching spawn token on the board. If there is a matching spawn token and the space is not full though, he will be placed there. I also want to point out that if there's already 5 monsters dead and another one is killed, he's immediately removed from the game. He doesn't get to go in the spawn track at all. The last thing to go over in a scenario are the quest. When you complete a quest, you mark it with one of your guild tokens, and the first person to complete a certain quest takes 1 gold automatically. As indicated in the campaign book, some quests have rewards associated with them, and those rewards are placed by them at the beginning of the game. So when a player completes this quest, for instance, they'll immediately get the corresponding reward card, and they can immediately put it right into the inventory of their characters, and it's available for use right away. It's not exhausted. As normal, players can only ever have 12 cards in their inventory because each character has 4 slots, but they can discard a card if they need to make space. It's also important to note that no matter what the quest is, each player can only complete each quest once. In a 3 or 4 player game, a player wins immediately when they complete 3 quests, as long as at least one of them was a PvE. If you only completed 3 PvP quests, which are just killing other players, you still have to complete one of the PvE quests to win. In a 2-player game, it's just 2 quests to win though. And at the end of the scenario, each player gets 1 coin for each quest they've completed, and we move to the upgrade phase. During the first part of this phase, players discard any death curses they have, put them back in the deck, and shuffle them together. And then each hero who died is dealt as many death curses as they have death tokens. So for instance, this guy had 1, so he would be dealt 1. And then he has to take the highest value among them, so let's pretend he actually died twice. And you can see this one is a value 0, this is a 1. So he has to take the value 1 and add it to his area. Normally they don't take up inventory slots, but sometimes they do, and it's indicated on the card. And next you shuffle the upgrade cards corresponding with the level or the round number of the scenario you just played. So the first one is 1, but during the course of the game, it's going to go all the way up to 5 because there's 6 total scenarios, and after the 6th one, you don't do this. But you deal each player a hand of 6. They pick 2 of them, pass the rest left, and they're going to pick 2, pass the rest left, until each player ends up with a hand of 6 cards. Players can use the money they've accumulated to purchase some of the upgrades, and they can just put them in their inventory and reorganize their inventory as they please. This, for instance, would cost 7, but there is one exception here, is that the maximum number of upgrades a player can buy in one turn is 3. After purchasing upgrades, the players can keep 1 coin, so even if they have 4 coins left, for instance, they only get to keep 1 for the next round. Lastly, players discard all tokens, wounds, exploration, quest tokens, etc. from all their heroes, and the player who won this scenario gets to choose the next one. But remember, the first 3 scenarios have to be outer circle, the next 2 are inner circle, and the last one is the final showdown. In the next scenario, the player to the left of the player who won the previous round starts, and before starting the next scenario, you should fill this out just to indicate who has what and things like that, unless you want to play it straight through and you're not too worried about scoring. Let's get going with this example playthrough. As stated, players can choose their heroes however they please, as well as organize their starting equipment however they'd like. So this guy's going to go first, and he's going to choose to activate a hero. Remember, he could activate a hero or rest. So he decides to activate Johann, and first Johann can move. So for 1 movement point, he can open this, and then for 2, he comes out. And then for 3, he decides he's not going to use his 3rd one, but he is going to attack this guy because this guy is close to him, and he's going to pick one of the items to attack with. He chooses to use his rusty blade. So his rusty blade, he gets to roll 3 attack dice, so that's exactly what he's going to do. And this orc has no defense, so he doesn't get to roll any defense. So he rolls these. He gets 2 hits because he got 2 swords. Unfortunately, this bow does nothing. So he'll do 2 damage to that orc, which is enough to kill him, but it's not enough to overkill him, which means his payback reaction is going to happen. So he gets to attack back, and the other player can choose if he'd like to move him first. He decides, just for fun, he's going to move him down here, and then he's going to attack. And again, he rolls 3 dice, so he's going to take 3 attack dice and roll them, and he needs swords to hit. Unfortunately, he got all bows, so he does 0 damage. Had Johann been able to defend, he would have rolled 3 defense die, because he has 1 there, and he would also have gotten 1 extra defense die from this upgrade card he has in front of him. It's important to note that these types of benefits happen even when a card is exhausted, so even if he had used that card to attack earlier, he would still get that. Then this guy is defeated because he took lethal damage, so he goes over here, and Johann immediately gets 1 gold. So the player controlling Johann has a gold, and then it's going to move on to the next player's turn. Also, because one of the scenario quests is to kill 3 monsters, he marks on here that he has killed 1, so he's on his way to getting up to that 3rd one. We'll jump ahead a little bit so you can see a little more action. Welcome back. We progress a little bit in the game. You'll see that this character has actually died. It's this guy's turn, so he's going to first activate Seth and go 1, 2, 3, so he's on this space and there's no enemies, so he flips this and he takes it to his area. And now Seth's ability is when attacking with a magic attack, the target does not roll defense dice. So he's going to use this ranged attack to target the diva here. And even though this area is blocked, because this side is not, he still has line of sight. So he gets to roll 2 dice to attack with this, and he needs to roll bows to hit. And remember, he has to exhaust it in order to use it. Unfortunately for him, he's rolled 2 of these swords. So It does no damage, and his opponent would not have been able to defend if it did. So now his turn is over, and it's this green guy. He's just going to refresh for his turn. So he gets to eliminate all of these exhaust tokens so everybody gets their abilities back, and he can bring Zazu back to life. Even though Green Sleeve is wounded, he doesn't get to heal that wound, but all of Zazu's wounds go away. He can either put him back here in the starting area or close to somebody that was already alive. He decides he's going to put him here with Green Sleeves. He doesn't get to attack or move this turn, but we're going to jump ahead a little bit further in the round so you can see some quests being completed. Welcome back. Unfortunately, the Diva died while defeating this guy here, so she moved up to 2 on the killing monsters, but all of their players got a money because she was killed by a monster. So this guy's turn, he's going to activate Seth for 1, 2, 3. Now Seth has completed this objective because he gets to claim all these items here, and he immediately marks on this. Because he does so, he gets one of the corresponding rewards, and he's the first person to achieve this quest, so he gets an automatic gold for doing so. So he gets the Skull Breaker, and he can put it to any of his guys that he'd like to. He's going to put it here to Johan. Welcome back. It's now the orange player's turn. I want to point out that Zazu is dazed. Some card effects, when they wound people, they daze them, and when you're dazed, you lay down on your side, and you cannot roll defense dice. So he has 3 wounds and only 4 health, so he's in really bad shape. It's the orange player's turn. He decides to activate Diva, and Diva's going to come here and use the Rusty Blade to attack Zazu. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't get to roll defense dice, although normally he would roll 2 plus 1 is 3. So he rolls, and he got 2 hits, which is enough to kill Zazu. So he goes back to his card, and he takes another death token. Along with that, the orange player gets 1 money, and then has also completed the quest, Kill Green. So he puts it there, and since he's the first to complete it, he gets another money. The orange player just finished his turn, and now there's 5 guys over here. So the orange player is going to roll these dice, and one by one is going to place them out on the board. So he's going to go in the space with 2 bows, which is down here. Unfortunately, this space is full, so this guy is removed from the game. So then we're going to go into the second guy, and it's going to work exactly the same way until we're out. And unfortunately, this space isn't even on the board because the 4 out there, so he's removed as well. And then this one is similar to the last one, so these guys aren't doing so well. And the 4th guy, okay, good, there we go. So he is in this space here, so he actually spawns nicely, and the last guy is gone as well. So then it proceeds to the next player. Welcome back. All players have completed 2 quests. It's the blue guy's turn. He's going to attack Zazu here because he has not yet completed the quest, Kill Green. He's going to use the Skull Cracker, so he marks that. And that normally rolls 3 dice, but it gets to roll 1 extra dice against heroes. Zazu has 3 damage out of 4 health, so he's hoping for some hits here. So there's 3 hits there, and then Zazu gets to roll 2, 3 defense because he has that parrying blade. So unfortunately, he does take damage, so he's going to be killed. He gets another death token, and the player who killed him gets some money. But better yet, he gets to mark this quest, and he's not the first one to complete it, so he doesn't get a free money. But he now has completed 3 quests. Kill Green, Kill Orange, and one of the PvE quests, so he is immediately declared the winner. So we move on to the upgrade phase. If this was a later round, we'd get rid of all death curses that players have, but right now nobody has any, so we're just going to deal them out. Unfortunately, Zazu's going to get 3 dealt to him because he's died 3 times during the game, and remember, he has to keep the highest number 1, which in his case is a 3, that gives him -1 heart for the next round, so that's not too good. And then over here, Diva's died 3 times as well, so Diva picks up the amnesia. She's lost her special ability, and this character gets 1, so they just get without 1 card, and it's fortunate for them it's no curse, so no problem. And then over here, Johan has died once, so he's got this one here, and all it does is occupy a card slot, which is going to be problematic for him in a moment. And the next thing we do is we shuffle these out, and we give each player 6 of them, and then they're going to keep 2 and pass the rest, and after they pass until they have another hand of 6 cards, they can buy up to 3 of them, and they do that by paying with their gold. Also, at the end of every round, you score 1 gold for each quest you've completed. So in the blue player's case, he's gotten 3 done, so he gets 3 gold, and each other player is going to get 2. In addition, there's some treasure tokens like this that award gold based on the number on them. So this one awards 3 gold, and this one awards 2 gold to the player who had it at the end of the round. So then the players are going to upgrade their guys, and they're going to move on to the next scenario. This guy will get to pick because he's the winner, and the guy to the left of him gets to go first. So after upgrading, the boards may look like this. Remember, you only get to keep 1 gold even if you have more than 1 extra, so additional golds are going to be returned to the supply. And then the next round is going to start. Remember, after you choose in the campaign book what one to play, you're going to move up in difficulty to the higher level monster cards as well as the higher level upgrades and things like that. The campaign ends after the 6th scenario. Have fun. I'm going to keep this short, but this game is awesome. Over the course of the 6 scenarios, you really feel like you've developed an emotional attachment to your characters. They really feel like they progress throughout the game. I will say the one thing though is, especially early in the game, it tends to favor really aggressive play and just kind of souping up one guy. The other guys will become good over time just because they'll get some of his leftover items, because you can only have 12 anyway. But all the quests and things like that really favor aggressive play, because you can't complete a quest by being defensive. You might not get killed as much, but you're not going to complete quests, and that's how you get gold anyway. So it really does favor aggressive play, which I like a lot, but it can make some people pretty angry at each other, because especially over the course of 6 scenarios, that can make for a very political thing. And because of that, I think it's best with more players. You can certainly play it with 2, but it really shines with 3 or 4. It's just a really fun game, and some of those really late game upgrades are crazy powerful. So again, if you're really going defensive, it's going to break through your defenses anyway. But this is one you should definitely at least try if you're into this type of game. You might need a group that is willing to go through a campaign type of game, because not everybody is, but this one is absolutely fantastic. That's Arcadia Quest.